Why it's turned off.
I have no idea.
Hello. Now you can hear us?
Do we have sounds now? People of the chat, please tell us.
Let's go back.
We'd like to know.
Hello, world.
Let's go back.
Tell him to sing a few bars for us.
All right, ready? Hold on.
No.
We're going to start over.
Yes! I think we're good, right? Somebody says yes. Sound.
Hello and welcome to Insomniac.
We did it. We got it all figured out.
The old, we don't have audio prank.
Yep.
We
Yes.
always intentionally pull.
You know what's
We're
fun?
seeing who's paying attention, as we do.
Yeah.
We weren't really talking. We were just moving our mouths.
Yeah. It's all part of it. You said like the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
Yes.
And it was maybe even life changing.
It was sort of life-changing.
Maybe you should say that again.
So, we are doing an Insomniac Play Live right now, where we're going to raise money for St. Jude Children's Hospital, or Children's Research Hospital. Go to this URL on the screen, insom.games/playlive, and you can donate. And if you donate at least $1, you can get entered to win a raffle on Friday, which includes the art book, which is that way. But also the prizes that we were showing you while we were muted.
Let's see those valuable prizes again, Tim.
Ready?
I like them with sound.
Ta-da!
Look at those. Wow.
Mouse pads, shirts, books, DX Racer, which is we have one of that we're giving away. Anyway, all this cool stuff. Enter at least $1, and we will pull from a raffle. If you enter and you don't win Friday, you will still be in the raffle for the following Friday, and so on. But if you win, you will no longer be in the raffle.
Are we raffling all month?
All month, yes, every Friday, including the DX Racer at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And hopefully some special guests maybe attending later in the month. Not quite as special as Chad Dezern, but almost as
Elton
special.
John.
Maybe
Not
Maybe
Elton
Zach
John.
Running.
But that's where you go, Elton John. Okay. All right. So today we're playing
Weird
Spyro. Now, it's been said because Ted was playing Spyro yesterday. Chad is a Spyro veteran. You've been around. When was your first one?
I'm so old. I started on Ripto's Rage.
Okay.
Or Gateway to Glimmer for our European fans.
Ooh, dropping some knowledge.
I guess. That's all I have. That's all I remember about the whole thing.
So because of that, we will pick from either Ripto's Rage or Year of the Dragon. However, let's get someone to donate $1 to pick. Shall we?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
If you donate
That's
$1 right now, you get to choose which game we play with Chad. What was your role on the games?
I was an environment artist.
Mm-hmm.
That's being generous. But I built a lot of worlds with very primitive SGI workstations
Nice.
that seemed really slick at the time, but looking back, it's not pretty. It's not up to your standards,
Well,
Alan.
we'll see how it's changed.
There was a question we got in a support ticket about what software we used to make Spyro.
Yeah.
And you knew the answer.
Indeed.
It was not Maya.
No, this was pre-Maya. It was Alias Power Animator,
Wow.
which involved a whole lot of clicking on individual
Power
verts. Yeah. And then we used a proprietary tool written by Brian Hastings called Karma to take these like low poly levels in and apply textures one by one, and then vertex light them.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was slow going. But I don't want to talk about it, for I seem old. And Toys for Bob made those primitive levels look absolutely gorgeous in this new version.
Rob donated $20. Rob, do you care which game we play? Ripto's Rage or Year of the Dragon? We should pick one soon, though, because we're eating into time. There goes my transition.
Ooh.
Oh,
We could just get started, maybe,
Yes.
until we
we
hear
can
from
switch
Rob.
it up.
Oh,
We're not ready for that?
Kian did ask why the name change, the Gateway to Glimmer.
Oh, Gosh, I can't remember. I believe that Sony Europe's marketing team. I may be misremembering every single bit of this, but I'm pretty sure it was just a matter of what they thought would connect best with their audience. And I don't know, maybe the word rage was off-putting. Ted probably remembers. I only remember us seeing like a brand new,
Who's playing?
kind of like jewel encrusted logo. Do you want to start?
Yeah, sure.
I shall return.
It was Ripto. Rob picked Ripto, and Rob donated $20. So thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
And here is your Ripto's Rage. Now again, Chad, this is your first game at Insomniac.
Yes,
Yes.
indeed. But although, to be fair, I made the predecessor to what we're about to play. Like, it looks really different. Although, when I think about it, it looks like this in my head. When I go back to look at the real thing we made, it does not look as nice as this.
Fergie
It's super
donated
blocky.
$50. Thank you, Fergie. Fergie is back. Last year's Fergie donated quite a bit of money. But thank you, Fergie. Yeah, how much of it? So I know Toys for Bob, redid a lot of this stuff. And I think what was most impressive, and they even said this in an interview, was the amount of different characters that were in this game. And in the entire series, the entire trilogy.
There are an enormous
There's like,
amount.
especially in the third game, there's like every single level felt like it had a new type of person, a new
Yeah.
type of character.
It's funny. I feel like we didn't spend any time whatsoever, or we spent very little time thinking about how many things we were making. The process was, and I'm not making this up, our lead animator would sit in a meeting when we were trying to make decisions, and he would sketch, basically tuning out the conversation. He'd sketch, and he'd come out with these really great production designs, for maybe 7 or 8 characters. And that's all the stuff that would go into a level, like NPCs and enemies. Somebody, usually our rigger, like our technical animator, would also model the characters.
Oh boy.
We didn't really have a dedicated character person. It was just like a lot of people chipping in. They'd get a primitive rig, and then when it came time to apply shaders or textures, let's be honest.
Sure,
Yeah. It was like you'd have a day to do like a full level's worth, which usually involved using some of the same eyeballs and putting them on everybody. It was like this really quick and dirty, like, let's just see how much stuff we can get into the game. Without a ton of organization, just like organically a small group of people working together to make this stuff.
Yeah, it's really crazy. I don't remember how much was changed for the remake, but even all the voices, they may have added more in the remake than were in the original game, but still, like, all the talking characters that all had different voices.
Yeah.
It's funny for the longest time we had scratch dialogue in the game for Hunter, like the cheetah character, and it was Ted. It was Ted like doing a southern accent.
Was it really in the final game?
We loved it. Like I can still hear it.
So they didn't have him redo it for
vividly.
the remake?
You know what? They really should have. only 4 or 5 people would have gotten the joke, but it would have been worth it.
But I haven't got time to explain. Here, take this magic guide to Avatar. It'll help you begin to understand.
Why do you think Activision decided to bundle these instead of selling them separately? Do you think they'd get more money out of people if... That's kind of a loaded question, Remaster Resistance. However, I think it's a good deal. I think selling as a trilogy, especially like Crash and Spyro, and when we HD up-resed the Ratchet and Clank collection, I think it's a good deal. And I don't think people would have necessarily bought individual versions of this. By the way, we do have the sunglasses turned on because last time we turned them on as a cheat and we forgot to turn them off. So it remembers it across all your saves, apparently.
Oh, wow.
So we're wearing sunglasses.
Fair
Spyro
enough.
didn't originally have sunglasses.
Do you know what you're doing?
Nope.
Have you played this game ever?
I played the first one, or I should say I'm playing through the first one.
Well, it's basically Dark Souls.
So far.
By the way, you need to flame those guys because the big guys you can't charge.
I never could figure out like what the purpose of the gems were.
To complete levels. And actually, in this game, starting in this game, you had to use them to buy upgrades from Moneybags.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah, I don't want to spoil it, but Moneybags, the banker, is going to take your gems later to get access to more levels.
Okay.
I'll return you to this place.
So anyway, if you guys have questions for Chad worked on Spyro Ripto's Rage. and you're the dragon, and has been with Insomniac ever since, and is currently Chief Creative Officer. So if you have any questions for Chad or Alan, who is character TD, which in layman's terms means you make the skeletons.
Yeah, I bone models.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right.
I thought we were talking layman's.
We were. Okay. Anyway,
What's your deal? There's nothing wrong with that incredibly accurate description. of
there's
what
nothing.
Alan
There's
does.
nothing wrong with it.
I
So
come in and sit down and get the job done.
yes. If you're watching the game, us stream from any other platform, and would like to participate by donating, because you could enter to win some cool prizes such as this Ratchet & Clank art book that we will sign. The team will sign. Please go to this URL, insom.games/playlive. In fact, I will paste it right now. And watch the stream from there and donate. And we will also get a sweet little pop-up on the screen that says, John Doe donated. It will say your name, but... By the way, Fergie donated $50 when he left, Thomas.
Oh, nice.
Maybe you should leave again.
Okay.
$50 and Thomas leaves.
Yeah.
That's our standing offer.
You heard it, Chad.
We get more donations. I'm willing to do this.
Resistance Trilogy Remaster would be amazing. Well, Eric, that would be something Sony would have to do. That would be cool to see, but, that's up to them as the owners of the IP/publishers of the titles. For example, the Ratchet & Clank HD collection that was remastered was done by Sony and a third party, and not by us. Would love to know about the anti-piracy in Spyro 3. My time with Spyro 3 was hell because my mom did not know the difference between a legal copy and a pirated one.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Do you know anything about the pirated
My
Spyro
goodness.
3 copies?
I have no idea. Was this like from way back, like in the PlayStation 2 era, or now? I have no idea.
Wasn't it one? PlayStation 1?
No. This would have been. No, what am I saying? That would have been PlayStation 1.
Yeah.
You're right. Holy cow!
Ratchet was
That's
too.
how old
Ratchet.
I am. I can't remember that type of thing.
Tell us more about said piracy. But I don't know if at the time you guys thought about anti-piracy measures when you made games.
I vaguely remember the first conversation about it ever. I think we did some kind of homebrewed anti-piracy.
I think there's like a semi-famous story about Spyro 1 and anti-piracy. I think like it made the game impossible or something like that, and then maybe...
You couldn't boot it up or something? There was something, I think I know what you're talking about. There was some message that popped up or something?
Like you'll watch like Did You Know Gaming or something, and that's one of the things they always talk about is Spyro. And the anti-piracy measures were really innovative at the time.
I vaguely remember somebody working on that as a thing that they were thinking about that nobody else was back then.
Insomniac made it so pirated copies lost content, would crash, etc. Yeah, I think I do recall that. I mean, that kind of the history of Insomniac, we've done fun things like that, including the message, the infamous "You should work in QA" message at the end of one of the Ratchet. I think it was one of the Ratchet games, right? Where you beat it so many times, they said, maybe you should work for QA. We actually get support tickets still to this day
Yes,
of people saying,
we
I got
do.
this message in the game. Can I have a job?
Yes.
It would remove eggs and stuff, and Zoe would tell you it was a bad copy. Or Zoe. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I wonder who thought of that. We'll have to.
I'll bet Brian Hastings knows a lot about that. You should ask him.
Resistance 1, Billy says, was the one that did that. Who did the you should work in QA. But I'm not joking, we still get, I think Thomas saw one
A couple months
recently
ago, yeah.
and asked me about it.
Yep.
He's like, is this real? Did we really
Yeah.
put this at the end of our game? I don't think we do that anymore for legal reasons, probably.
Yeah.
But I've heard Spyro 3, if you get to the final boss and fight it, it would boot back to the menu and delete everything.
That sounds familiar.
That's awesome. Eric Xavier says, I should be an Insomniac employee. Well, Eric, Insomniac.games/careers. We're always hiring.
So somebody, I don't know if we already asked this question, somebody was asking Chad what your favorite level level was in Ripto's Rage.
Oh, in this one,
Or maybe even in both of them, what's the most memorable?
there are a couple of them, like Fracture Hills in Ripto's Rage, that I like because of their beautiful color palettes. Now, I think that John Fiorito made that level, if I recall correctly. And he had a really good handle on color and painting and how to make the lighting pull everything together. So I always admired that one and kind of aspired to making my stuff look that good. So I'm going to go with that one. Also, the thing about Fracture Cone that I remember is when Michael John, one of our designers then, who's working with Mark Cerny as part of Cerny Games, but also working really closely with Insomniac, did this level presentation where he had drawn the level onto graph paper. But he had also made like a 3D volcano cone out of the same paper, and it was just the coolest thing. Like you looked at it and immediately knew that it was going to be a really fun level to build and a fun level to play. Just a nice little presentation moment where he was showing back before we did gray boxes
Right, I was
for
gonna
anything,
say, that's
like how this thing could work in
totally
real
different
world space.
Take on gray boxing.
Yeah.
Quite literal.
Chad, did you make some of the skyboxes too?
I did. So that was like a hard process because we would make a mesh. We call these cycloramas, and you would like hand author a mesh and then try to wrap it around a sphere. And one guy at the studio, Craig Stitt, was especially good at it. So he did almost all of them for Spyro 1 and for Ripto's Rage. But on this game, I started to learn how to do it. I made a couple. I did a lot more for the one after this, Year of the Dragon. But yeah, it involved like trying to imagine what clouds would look like in triangle form, almost like hand drawing vertices, and then going through and hand painting all of the vertex colors and trying to get them to blend together without any other real like guidance for how to handle the tone of it. Like we did a little bit of pre-lighting with like you would drop a point light in and get like some basic gradient, but after that it was all just like hand tuning the colors with weird primitive tools.
Wow.
Why aren't new Spyro games being developed beyond Skylanders? That's a question for Activision. Activision owns the IP, so that would be up to them. Gateway to Glimmer is a much better name, but why is UK named different? That happened with Ratchet. It has sometimes it's up to the publisher first of all. It's usually something to do with localization / the market. For example, I think for the Ratchet games, it was harder to localize the titles and still carry the same meaning across. Because
the pun kind of aspect of it.
Double entendres
Exactly.
don't translate.
Exactly. So it probably was something like that. It could have been just that Europe liked Gateway to Glimmer better than the other branch of the publisher. But we don't really control that. We have input in that, for sure. But ultimately, if they want to change it for a game that they own, then they change it. Year of the Dragon had some really good skyboxes. I was thinking of like skybacks, lombacks. I don't know. We were just talking about Ratchet, so. Dear Lord, that sounds awful. What sounds awful? What sounds awful?
He may
your
be
process.
talking about, yeah.
Yes.
Which by the way, yeah, it was awful when you think of how good tools are now, but it was totally fun back then. Like, a lot of the stuff that seems incredibly tedious was actually, I don't know, we had a blast doing it. It's like you put your headphones on and just do the work.
It was cutting edge, right?
Back then it was, yeah. Those were a particularly usable set of tools that we made several games with.
Who made the trolley minigame in Breeze Harbor? Do you remember?
For some reason, I think it was Gavin Dodd, but I'm not sure. I remember that one being like a really late production type of thing. Like sometimes we would get past alpha or beta, and somebody like a programmer would just decide to put in like a giant new feature, just because they felt inspired. And I'm not saying like don't do this at home, kids. I'm not saying this is like a good idea or good practice. It's just how things happen sometimes. It would result in all kinds of bugs and just the sort of late game disaster that you think. But the game ended up with cool, fun stuff that people remember sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, there are some memorable mini / vehicle based things in Spyro.
You can defeat them.
I will say though, one thing I dislike because of the controls, but also I wish they would have allowed the option to change it with the remake here, is the flying. All the flying and the swimming, the fact that it's inverted, I'm horrible at it. And so all the flying levels are just so hard, and the swimming levels in Year of the Dragon are so hard. And I just wish they had a way to invert the controls for...
Sure? I thought they had invert Y on this.
They do, but it does it for both.
Oh, okay.
There's no like
Got it.
flying versus normal.
Well, you can't please everybody, Tim.
I
mean,
know.
look at
I know.
how pretty it is.
It is really good looking remake. Is this really your mom, Chad?
It probably is.
Hi, Chad's mom.
Hi, Mom.
I hope that whoever decided the Norks should moon Spyro got a promotion was pleased but surprised that made it into the remaster. Why wouldn't it, right? I mean, mooning's not like horrible. I mean,
it's what Norks do.
Yeah.
My daughter gets quite a kick out of that.
Yes.
It
is pleasurable.
Hey, go check them out. Look what
Yeah.
they do, Dad.
Yeah, it was fun playing through this with my kids watching, for sure. They hadn't seen the games. And some of the eggs in Spyro 3 are named after like employees. Like there's one in there with my wife's name on it.
Oh, really?
It was
Sweet.
super cool to show
Cool.
that to the kids, yeah.
Nice.
Just for that one brief minute, I was cool.
Yeah, it's
First time
immortalized.
ever.
Yeah.
When you were playing through it, did you see stuff that you were like, hey, that was I contributed that thought, or does it kind of feel like a whole new take on it to you?
It's like there's so much time that's elapsed between
Sure.
it, so I don't know. It's weird. Like sometimes when I play these, like I think about the underlying level, and it looks almost identical, and it's
Right.
hard not to feel like the
Right.
contributions there. But other times I look at how far beyond what we made the remaster is, and feel like, wow, somebody else gets
Just the
every
literal
bit of credit for this
fidelity.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like even the dragon designs are like way different, right? Not Spyro specifically, but
Yeah. They managed to get something in the character of the original sketches in a lot of these nicer models, though. Like, I think they must have had pretty good scanned reference, or at least just good sensibilities for what the original designer, the original artist was thinking about.
yeah.
So, yeah, just such a good job. It's such a good time playing these.
We got a donation from Ed and Mike. Mike is likely remaster Resistance. However, I'm not going to assume. I'm just going to assume.
You know what happens when
But
you
anyway,
assume.
thank you for the donation. The children will thank you. By the way, that leads us to, if you're watching us or joining us late, go to insom.games/playlive. You can still watch the stream, still chat, but also donate. And if you donate at least $1 for the entire month of May, you don't have to do it now. You can do it next week, but there's a raffle every week, so the sooner you do it, the more chances you'll have to win. You can enter to win stuff like this Ratchet & Clank art book, signed by the team, or any number of other prizes provided by our friends at St. Jude. I believe James even threw in some poster last week. There may be some other things that we're going to see laying around the office that we'll raffle off. We'll see.
Yeah, we may just take things from people's desks.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to
Staplers.
say we won't.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool.
Staplers. Signed by Alan. Alan's stapler.
With a glitter marker.
I'm disappointed you aren't reading out the message. I'll read out the message. Okay, I'll read out the message. So Mike says, and I'm not saying the last name, I think you should give Thomas... I can't really read that well. Go to E3? I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means at all.
Maybe something got cut off. Let me make this large and see. Ah, there we go. Well-earned time off. Say 2 months. And let him go to E3. This is not Thomas using a fake name. Ed says, sorry it's so small.
It's
Tapped,
not.
Thomas fans.
tapped until payday. Does the link to donate exist when you're off stream? It does. It does. Always
Yeah.
drawn to Insomniac. Yes, the link is always there. And
24
Fergie
hours a
says,
day.
just a small for old time's sake. Fergie last year donated a few $100s, so 50 is more than enough. Thank you, Fergie.
Thank you, Fergie. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you, Mike and Ed, as well.
I can't believe you troll me in front of Chad.
But I will say, Thomas will be going to E3 at least for one day this year.
I will be.
So it worked,
Yay!
but you're not getting 2 weeks off.
2 months.
2
That
months.
was
Sorry.
rather ambitious. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at Alan learning basic skills.
I guess I can say it right.
Say what?
Going down there.
Failed.
Yes, Thomas will be at
We have the community.
This is actually a little tricky.
fans and
Family and Fan
Fans
Day.
Yes.
Fan.
Family
Singular.
and Fan Day.
Yes. Thomas will be there. So, if you're there and you have any gripes or annoyances, Thomas will be hearing those. If you have any praises, James and I will also be there.
Come to me with your gripes, and I will give you Tim's
You got
email
to double.
address.
You got to double jump and then glide.
That's right.
Do you want me to try it?
Yes.
Hooray!
Thanks for the. Darren says thanks for the replies. Crash had a bunch of deleted levels. Some of those eventually got added to the remaster. Did Spyro have any mostly finished cut content that never got to see? Do you recall if there was any near finished levels that were cut?
Oh, look at that!
Oh man, first try.
There you go.
Oh god.
There you go,
Oh, you're not
buddy.
gonna continue to play.
You can do it. I mean, Alan was doing really well. I just had to do that. I just couldn't watch it.
This one's just as hard because you got to hit the triangle at the end.
Jump, glide,
and then you have to go back to the beginning if you
Yeah.
miss it. So, no pressure.
So you jump at the top of your jump. You click X again to glide, and then
Yeah.
when you get close, you hit triangle to hover up in the air and
That's
land.
right.
You have to hold X, right?
No.
Oh, you don't have to hold X.
Oh, look at him! He did it!
Hey!
This guy knows what he's doing.
Thanks, guys.
So
He's a
Chad,
pretty good athlete.
Pro gamer.
do you recall if there was any cut levels that were nearly finished or halfway finished that you guys cut that could have potentially made it into a remaster if they'd so decided?
I actually can't conceive of us doing something and not like putting it in. Like I can't imagine a moment where we're like, "Yep, that's not going to work." I don't know. I think we were pretty thrifty and efficient.
Well,
I don't know. There were probably some sections. I remember one level that was designed and concepted without anybody talking to anybody else. Like we all just had our heads down working. You think that in a small office we would have gotten up and compared notes, but that didn't happen. So we got it up on the TV the very first day the level was running and gathered around it. And it had a gnome with a candy cane in like a glacial mushroom forest. And none of it made any sense whatsoever together.
Right.
But we kind of made some minor modifications and just ran with it. That's kind of how things were. It was a lot more about, let's figure out how to make this work, and a lot less about, planning.
that's probably why so many different characters and level types made it into the game.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
That's probably too something you can only get away with smaller teams, right?
Yeah, I think smaller teams and smaller games. I mean, that was
Right.
like an almost indie game sized team, even though this was a big game for its time.
Right.
It was super fast turnaround to get a lot of these finished.
I am retweeting us that I'm not like texting somebody, by the way. Alan.
I think you're.
I was judging,
Doing other
but I
stuff.
wasn't saying anything.
I thought I felt my phone buzz.
This is one I worked on, and for this one, it was a big deal to make like a giant animated piece. Like I remember this head up here is going to have an animating element, and actually getting all of that to work involved like flagging vertices individually. And I don't have any stories that don't make me sound horribly old, by the way.
Oh, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Well, but when you think about it,
Things that are easy now that we take for granted, we're like, oh, we're going to have a big door that rotates. It's like an amazing feature back then.
Ted was on yesterday. Yes, Ted was on yesterday. Chad's on today. We have a few other Spyro veterans. Well, you gotta watch out.
Oh,
You gotta get them. You gotta flame them.
So I just wanted to watch it for a little bit.
Yeah. Of course the yak was going to turn
Yeah,
into a ball.
I
and
was
fly.
not expecting that.
What do you think's going to happen?
Did Insomniac have plans for a Spyro 4? I don't know if we can say that. We probably could at this point. Did
Well,
we?
you know what? After Spyro 3, even though we hadn't really been working on them that long in the grand scheme of things, we were ready to do something else. Like, we love Spyro, but he is a quadruped. He can't really hold things. You're a little bit limited mechanically to like gliding and breathing fire. So we were pretty much dying to do a bipedal hero. running around like holding some kind of weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what kind of influenced our decisions about what we wanted to do next.
A hero with perhaps a backpack.
Well, here even before that, it was a hero with a stick. Like,
Yes.
we started with
It was a girl with a stick.
girl with a stick right after Spyro 3, and that it made a huge evolution into Ratchet after several months of development.
Which is a nice segue. You can learn more about that with the art book.
Oh, Thomas,
Wow.
look at you. You're learning.
It's like a segment.
You are learning. And anyway, the history, it is a history / art book. Actually, even more timely, the foreword was written by none other than Chad Dezern. The foreword in the art book. So, if you would like to know more about Ratchet & Clank, you have an opportunity to win as part of a raffle if you donate at least $1 using the URL on the screen, insom.games/playlive. What kind of stick was it? I think there's even like a small video that is out there on the internet.
Yeah, I
that
think
shows-
the first playable level is available publicly on YouTube. I can't remember.
Really?
It
I
was
didn't know
published
that.
along with a, let's say, Game Informer article. I may be making stuff up, but it's out there somewhere.
That
Well, they
sounds
also
right.
there was an article, an IGN article that included the design Bible for Monster Knight.
Oh, my niece Ella, hi Ella, wants to know if there are any Easter eggs in the Spyro games, and actually there are quite a few. There are even literal eggs,
Eggs,
like
yeah.
dragon eggs are all over Spyro Year of the Dragon, and some of them have names of people you know attached to them. So we had to make like, I don't know, 100-something baby dragons, and we had to name them in a hurry, give them all distinctive animations. So they ended up having a real like personal touch with a little something from just about everybody who was working with us back then.
That's like the precursor almost to the production baby credits.
And then one of my sisters is correcting the spelling of my other sister, which is totally weird. So,
This is Facebook for you.
you know, we have to talk about our social media policy.
Well, that means that must mean they follow Insomniac games.
They do. Yes, they have to keep tabs on me somehow, apparently.
This is all very wholesome, and I love it.
But it is fun, you know, when you do get to work on games, that little things like that Easter eggs that either only you know about or only the studio knows about. For example, and I think I've said this before. You probably don't know this. Maybe you do. One of the racing game machines in the arcade of Sunset Overdrive, the high scores on the machine are none other than birthdays of kids at Insomniac. So the initials are of the children, and the highest score is their birthday. So the winner is someone with a December birthday because it obviously has the most numbers, the highest numbers.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. So
That's
anyway, little
great.
things like that.
I love stuff like that.
So, you know, the names in this game. There was another egg. I'm trying to remember. I played through not too long ago, and there was another egg of something that sounded like a super Insomniac Easter egg, but I forget now which it was. It was something I recognized, and I wasn't around during the Spyro days. And I was like, oh, I know that name.
Was it a Dan Johnson thing? You know, and I'm pretty sure that it's in Year of the Dragon. You can find a whole lot of tiny Dan Johnson references. Like even back then, we were obsessed with trying to hide him in the game. So there's a coin in a fountain with his portrait on it. If you get a certain angle on a certain mushroom, you can see this very vivid image of him. Like you got to kind of work to get it, but it's worth it. Yeah, I can't explain why.
Isn't that the reason we continued that after his passing?
Yeah. If you knew Dan,
Right.
you too would want to memorialize him in a game. He's a special and cool dude.
There's also, what is the model that's in a lot of games? Is it a gnome? Or,
That's there's the gnome is the resistance.
oh, that's a resistance
I
thing.
think Yancey has something to do with that.
Oh,
by the
okay.
way. You might interrogate him about
Fair enough.
that. Yeah.
There is the gnomes in it's pretty much Resistance and Sunset, because Marcus was the creative director of Sunset, and also in Resistance 3 he was the creative director of Resistance 3. So I believe he carried over some of those gnomes to Sunset, or someone on the team did.
But that's definitely after post-Ratchet times.
Yeah, so in Resistance 3, I know for a fact you go down into the caves and
Post-Spyro.
you use the auger, and you can look behind the wall, and there's gnomes behind the wall. And then also in Sunset they attack you, I believe, the gnomes.
That's right. That's taking it to the next level, as
Yes.
it were.
Sup, guys? Top fun. Good game. Thank you, Garcia. Greetings from Rosario, Argentina.
Wow,
Well, welcome.
that's awesome.
Hello.
That
Thanks for
time of
being
year
here.
again, E3 right around the corner. I have to read this ahead of time because sometimes Remaster likes to make me say things. E3 Spirit in the Air. What are your E3 2019 predictions? I predict,
Video games.
yes, I predict Sony will not be at E3 this year. I predict Microsoft will be across the street at the Microsoft Studio, or what's it called?
I saw a
Theater, the Microsoft Theater.
Yeah.
I saw a headline about Netflix. Is going to have something.
Oh yeah, I saw something about that.
Really?
Announcement.
I
at
predict
E3, something
Netflix
like
will have
that?
an announcement.
They're gonna talk about their game strategy.
Yeah.
I think that's what I read. Yeah.
I predict Google Stadia will have some presence there. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Those are bold predictions.
If Sean was here, he'd be making super bold predictions like, I don't know, Half-Life 3 is actually being announced.
Oh,
or
wow.
something like that. Yeah.
I don't even want to say that.
Is Dan in Spider-Man? I believe, yes, he is. He's Dan and Michael Kuhl, who also unfortunately passed away as an Insomniac. And I believe there's one other person who are all in Spider-Man. And if you haven't found them yet, I don't want to spoil it. But they are in Spider-Man, in the city of New York.
I'm clearly doing this wrong.
Ripto's Rage was the best one, says John. I will say, I don't know, I like the first one of the dragons, right? In this one, I miss the fact that you don't free the dragons. But after playing the third one, which felt like it was a lot more stuff, I felt like this was the nice combination of not too much stuff. I don't know, but they're all really good. So I kind of lean towards Ripto's Rage as well.
And I like the third one. I think it was the most fun to make. I think it's got the most varied gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'd figured a lot of things out by the time we made it, so just kind of better looking overall. But little something for everybody in these.
Yeah, I think they're all excellent, and I really enjoy what Toys for Bob did with the remakes. And I'm glad that a new generation of fans and an old generation of fans, they all can enjoy it again. I love when he runs. He just goes side to side like the little.
Oh yeah, I love that animation.
The
It's
little,
like a little prance.
It's kind of
hop
like
thing.
there's a little cockiness to it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what impressed me when I saw Spyro 1 the first time before I started working at Insomniac. There was just this attention to detail that you did not ever see back then. I mean, you know, nice color theory and how the levels were considered, really fluid animation, just like lots of little charm, and even things that we take for granted now, like you might see an enemy chasing another enemy around, almost like they've got a little life of their own, even when you're not playing the game. That's the sort of touch you didn't see that often back then. I mean,
Yeah.
this was like the era of like early PlayStation games, like Jumping Jack and Jumping Flash and Jet Moto, things like that. You know, fun games that figured things out, but they didn't have the same kind of character that this one did.
Yeah, I have distinct memories of playing through the first game. It's one of the first games I ever 100%ed, and I just absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And I still talk to people today who like don't play any games at all, but they know Spyro.
Yeah.
And so it was massively impactful on a lot of people.
They're all great, except for but Spyro 3 was wonderful, except for the Yeti boxing, which should be a war crime.
That's kind of true.
Yeah. I will say the one thing that I hated, and again I don't remember playing it in the original. I only remember it from the Reignited. Was the dragons trying to fly and kill the two dragons, and they kept healing themselves.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
And that took me like
Yeah.
45 minutes or something ridiculous to.
That's in Year of the Dragon, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I don't know how. I don't remember it from the original. I don't remember if it's still that hard. But I remember playing it with the Reignited, and it was pretty hard, especially because my controls and the inverted flying and all that.
It's probably really that hard. Like, I will say that even though these games were supposed to be super accessible and for everybody to play, like, it's not like there was usability testing going on back then the same way there is now. There's a lot of passing controllers around the office and just seeing if it felt right, and you know, like we don't know. The game developers never really know how hard the game is because we all play it for hours a day.
Sure.
So you get kind of like superhuman with a controller. I'm not saying we didn't think about it. Obviously, we did. We thought a lot about how to get it so more people could play, but it just wasn't quite as data driven as it is now.
So Alan just tapped out, and Thomas just missed the first pillar. Would you like me to try?
I
I would try, but I know how hard this is.
I don't understand. So
You
I'm
have
trying
to.
hit these
I'd
in a
rather
row.
Yes, you have to
you-
charge them.
All 6 of them.
You have
Yeah.
to charge them, so you cannot come out of a charge, which means you can't hit anything.
Yeah.
This isn't even the hardest charging challenge in the game. The hardest one's the one where you're in that level where you have to.
Hurricos? You're talking
Yes.
about Hurricos?
Yes.
Pretty sure that John Fiorito
Wait, so
made
can
a
I
few
keep going
mistakes
if I
when he was
jump out?
building that. And that's why it's so
Oh,
hard.
maybe.
Some of the speedways were brutal. Fireworks Factory level. That was also.
Ooh. Yep.
Oh, I can keep
He
going.
almost had it.
Yeah, I did almost have it. I'm gonna get it.
As well as. I enjoyed the Ratchet & Clank games. I have first trilogy on PS3 and a few others future games, as well as I want to play Deadlock, but I never played that one before. Well, I believe that one is also on PS3 as a remaster, so I think it's on the store.
resets.
Yeah, reset. You have to do them in order, or else it starts over. Oh, got him!
Look at that!
I did it.
That was just skill.
And now they're
First
gonna make
try.
it rain.
First try.
I am so mad I missed Ted yesterday. Well, but we have Chad today.
Hey!
Chad also worked on Spyro.
Yeah. That's okay. It's not as good. Everybody would like to see Ted.
We should have Ted on every. Yeah, we should just get him on a flight every night.
Sure.
And go coast to coast and
Yeah.
just be on the streams.
That'd be fun.
By the way, let me check and see if we have any new recent donations. I might have missed them.
I know where I need to go.
Nope.
All right.
Back through that. Maybe it might be back up again.
Yeah, I think you have to. Yeah, I think you leave the way you came in.
Gotcha.
So that reminds us, if you haven't donated and would like to donate to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, please do so at insom.games/playlive. And if you donate at least $1, you have the opportunity to be entered into a raffle every Friday, starting last Friday. So if you donate now, you'll have more chances at more Fridays to win stuff such as this autographed Ratchet & Clank book, a whole bunch of cool stuff from St. Jude that's like a DX Racer, which is like a really nice gaming chair, tumblers, backpacks, t-shirts, all kinds of cool stuff.
Let's see those. Let's see those valuable prizes, Tim.
All right, you're testing me. We're cutting away from.
I just wanted to watch.
Oh, that's not it. That's not it.
Oh
Hold
no!
on.
Oh, what was that?
That was Fan Art Friday.
That was scary.
It's not Friday yet. Dang it! See, there's too many buttons now. That was Fan Art Friday. Anyway,
Hooray, you did
there's
it.
the prizes. Insom.games/playlive.
You've been this way. You've been this way, right?
And if you have any questions for Alan or Chad, ask away. You could ask Thomas questions too, but you know.
You want to.
I don't have much interesting to say.
Chad technically outranks Ted since Ted is an intern. That's the joke.
I don't know what to make of that.
Intern Ted.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So I, for one, welcome our new Chad Overlord.
No, thank you.
Chad, did you give any feedback to Toys for Bob regarding the remakes?
They let us see some early screens, and we more or less said this looks great. I mean, they kind of had a lot of things figured out from the get-go. Just a really nice way of like rethinking what the games would look like now if they were made with technology that we have right now. So yeah, they kind of like had it in them already. I think they came in and talked to Ted and John in a little more detail a couple times, which was also super nice of them. Like, they didn't have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have to involve us, but they did. So yeah, can't say enough good things about how well they handled this.
Did any of us get Rage 2 yet? Not yet. I plan to play it very soon. Maybe even tonight. I don't know. But I have not. Plans to do any more Ratchet & Clank games? Oh, they're trying to get us to answer stuff. Hey, so here's the thing I'll say. We're not talking about any future titles for any franchise. The only thing we're going to talk about is anything that's already been out, or Stormland, which comes out this year.
Or what other studios might.
Or
be
if
doing.
Sean comes, we can
Yeah.
talk about anything any other studio is doing. For example, that new game that's coming out Tuesday. That's the joke. Sean, we confirm other studios' rumors, and Sean will confirm any rumor you have.
Really?
Yes. So, like, when is the new Respawn Star Wars game getting announced? And Sean will say, Tuesday.
Huh.
Look for a trailer.
Okay.
And, of course, it's fake. Stormland hype. Thank you. We're excited. You'll see much more about Stormland very soon.
Indeed.
Chad, what is your favorite new feature in Resistance 4?
I like our latest version of the bullseye. Oh no! Oh, they got me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
There's that time travel.
I
mechanic.
blew it.
There is no Resistance 4. Let's just be clear.
Good try though.
That is a good try, Remaster Resistance. Funny name. I know I could just Google this. But what's a Stormland? I don't know what a Stormland is. However, Stormland is a VR game coming to Oculus Rift and Rift S in 2019. It is a well, it's got a buzz. Open world action adventure exploration, a little bit of shooting mixed in.
Yeah, you play an android gardener, and you've got a body that's rusted and broken. You've got to build yourself back up, and go up to the Stormland to rescue all of your android friends.
We actually so there was an original pitch for Stormland on the server, and one of the suggestions for the stream from one of our Sean, one of our community members, our community team members, was that if someone donated $50, we would play the original pitch of you during the stream. I said that's not a good thing. We'll save that for a Stormland stream.
Yeah, sure.
Because that original pitch was really, really cool. Chad really knows how to pitch a game. It really gets you in the mood. The only other person who could pitch a game really well was the Marcus and Drew Sunset Overdrive pitch, where they were standing on tables.
Those guys
and
did a great job. Yeah.
And
Sometimes they wear T-shirts, like they'll rip off their top shirt and have a T-shirt underneath. Things like that.
I'll never forget the opening line of "Picture a kangaroo codpiece." That was
It sticks with you.
I already have a Rift. Would you recommend upgrading to an S for Stormland specifically? If you already have a Rift, if you can do it, it's cool because of the tracking. It's easier to set up. You don't have to worry so much about where your trackers are and stuff. But in terms of the game itself, it's going to run great on either. So, I don't know what kind of PC you have, but I wouldn't say you should upgrade just for Stormland. But if you want to upgrade for the ease of use of the Rift S and the improved optics, you should, because it's awesome. When's the new Spider-Man coming? At least give me a Miles spider suit. Well, again, I'm not going to talk about anything other than Stormland or release titles. Considering you guys made a game that had attitude, I have a question to y'all. What do you guys think of Rage 2's Twitter and their roasting? I think it fits the brand. I think it's a fun... We did it... I mean, Fizzy did it, not we. That was not us. Fizzy did it with Sunset Overdrive. So, I mean, it's fun. As long as you do it tastefully and don't actually hate or hurt somebody, I think as long as it fits the brand. It wouldn't fit Spyro, for example. But it does fit Rage 2, and it did fit Sunset Overdrive.
Are they roasting people on their Twitter?
I
wasn't familiar with
I know they
Yeah.
did early on when they did... remember when it leaked from Amazon Canada?
Yes.
And they did that whole fun thing with Amazon Canada. I haven't followed them recently, but I'm sure, based on that game, that they are roasting people. Was Fizzy a real person? No, Fizzy was a balloon. Come on, Kian, you know that.
Who used to be a real person.
No.
Oh, sorry.
You didn't play Sunset, did you?
Yeah, I have.
Any of you getting less hyped for... I don't know what that is. So I don't know if I could be less or more hyped. Walmart Canada, that was what it is, not Amazon. It was Walmart Canada.
Hey, it's Thomas. Yes? I've been here the whole time.
Have you?
Maybe.
Well, that's
Who
not
knows?
true.
Debatable.
Hey, we got another donation. Ionic Fox with $20. Comment, it's Insomniac rocks. Thanks for doing a great fundraiser. Well,
Hooray.
thank you, Ionic Fox.
Thanks, Ionic Fox.
We appreciate it, and St. Jude Children's Research Hospital appreciates it. And we will say, they did talk to us. We did this last year, and we raised, I don't remember what we raised, but it wasn't a ton, but we raised enough. And we thought it was, like, not great, but St. Jude came to us and said, what you did paid for some child's treatment for at least a day. So the fact that one family didn't get a bill for that day,
Yeah.
you know, it's good to help. So your donation goes to a good cause. And it's 100% going to St. Jude. So we're not taking anything. Tiltify is not taking anything.
Oh.
You should go to Hurricos if you want to see some of the stylings of John Fiorito.
Sounds good.
Sunset was great. Were there any ideas you know that didn't make it in, and what was the general perception when it came out with the team? The general perception of, like, the pitch? I remember a lot of people were super impressed by the pitch, super pumped for a game of that style. I think many people had questions as to what is this, because it was a little crazy and out there. But I think everyone was really excited about Sunset from the start. So, in terms of ideas that got cut, I mean, sure, there's always stuff that gets cut, usually during pre-production. I'm trying to remember. I guess one thing potentially was that base defense originally was a little bigger than it was in the final product. But we realized how fun it was to traverse the city, so we changed it more to a traversal style game versus a base defense type game. So the question was, is anyone getting Tale of Plague? Is that what I think it was? Tale of Plagues.
Plague Tale.
I
Tales.
saw a trailer for that. That looked interesting. I don't know. I might play it.
I'm not familiar with that one.
There's a lot to play. There's a lot to
A
play right
Plague
now.
Tale
is.
Innocence. That's what it is. A Plague Tale Innocence.
I will check out Rage 2.
I will
That's for
too.
sure.
I'm a big fan of well, and I know Avalanche worked on a lot of it, but I'm a fan of id shooters anyway, and it has that DNA, so I will play it. Those purple guys in Hurricos would give me nightmares. I will say the challenge in this level, where you have to pick up the circuits and put them back in,
Yeah.
and there's like 10 of them,
Yeah.
but you just do the same figure 8 over and over again.
Uh-huh.
I do wish something like that was a little modernized in the
Yeah,
arena.
it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
There's no special assists to help you
Yeah.
be good at it. It's just very precise and fiddly. But hey, check out that stormy sky.
Yeah, let's
Like,
look up.
look around. I mean, you
Ooh,
know,
look at the rainbow.
It's pretty nice, nicely executed. Like like a storm has just happened, and you can see a little sunlight coming out just after the storm. You don't
Yeah.
see that every day.
No, I do recall
Ow.
reading, and you could probably correct me, reading that one of
Come look
the
at the sky.
impressive things about Spyro games was that Al was able to create the draw distance
That's right.
to create these,
Yeah.
worlds.
Most PlayStation 1 games had fog, like just a few meters in front of you, but Al figured out this really clever thing of like using Garo shaded distant polygons that were authored separately to draw on all this distant detail. And we see that technique in every game now. Like we have levels of detail all over the place to help extend the draw distance, but that was like a thing Al thought of and probably did a sketch on a cocktail napkin or something and came into work and coded it.
And now
Because that guy's really smart.
he is, and that turned into the boat people. so
Yeah.
everyone knows about the boat people, right? Who's the guy next to Tim? This is Chad DeZern, Chief Creative
Hey.
Officer / Spyro veteran.
Yeah.
Longtime Insomniac. Alan Wider, I said it right,
You said it right.
is also here. He's character TD. And then we have Thomas.
Hi.
Just Thomas.
Just Thomas.
Just Thomas.
Thomas is playing and doing a fine job.
He is.
I don't.
What
know
does
about
Chad do?
that.
I think I just said that, so there's a little bit of delay. Great art style and animations. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. However, some of that was updated slightly for the remake. If you compared them side by side, obviously you would see a lot more detail.
You would just start screaming.
Yes.
And you wouldn't be able to stop.
It is cool to go back and play old games and be like, this is what you remembered it to be. Just because it's cool that your mind can do that, right? It can remember a game to look different than it does, really, because you had such fond memories of it.
Yeah. Memory fills in all the details.
I remember
that weren't really there.
It's like when I used to go back and I loved the original Quake, and I went back and played it probably a year ago, and yeah, it doesn't hold up quite the same that it did in my mind. Even Doom, games like that
Yeah.
were at the time marvels.
Yeah.
But
They're sometimes fun. It's sometimes not. You know, Atari 2600 stuff doesn't always hold up so well. You want to love it, but, you know, try playing Adventure, for example.
I'm excited for Medieval. Are you? Is anyone else getting the remake for Medievals?
Yeah, I love
Medieval?
Medieval. I love that game.
I probably will. I have fond memories of that game.
Yep.
I'm interested to see how much they updated, though. Because I think that's one of the ones, going back to it's a little... Things have changed a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
cameras have gotten a little
Yeah.
better. Yeah, that's right. There's a lot of, like, foundational stuff that they would probably look at.
Chad, how do you feel about other companies up-resing games that you worked on like this? Or like the Ratchet HD collection?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's always a nice surprise to like go back and remember what it was like to work on something when it was a lot more primitive, but see this like beautiful realized vision that you didn't actually have to work on. Like it's super fun.
Remember Insomniac made a Doom clone? We did. Disruptor.
That's Disruptor. Yeah.
And Ted will tell you the story if he was here. He might have said it yesterday. He'll tell you the story that I think it was GDC they were at, and they were showing off Disruptor, and John Romero walked by and stopped and said, "That's cool," and Ted was happy.
That's awesome.
Could you imagine remaking Disruptor with? How about this? We remake Disruptor, but still continue to have the FMVs.
Yeah, only if the cutscenes
Yes.
can go in unchanged.
Yes.
Or if they could be remade with an identical budget. So they're like cardboard boxes with switches on them to represent a sci-fi interior.
But I think if you remade them with modern technology, but with the same cheesiness, it might still be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It shocks me to hear that the kind of campiness wasn't intentional. Like, everybody was on set and didn't realize.
Well,
I mean, at the time,
I mean, I can see how it could be written that way, but when you're like actually shooting it or editing it,
what's the story?
I think everybody's probably thinking it's going to be so cool. We're going to have real video as
Right.
part of our game.
right?
Like we're going to pull people right into this world, and you know.
But what's the story? Who directed them? She also directed movies. Was it Twilight? She did or something. There's some connection between the director of the FMVs and a real director.
Like she went on to greater things. So maybe those gave somebody their start.
Yes.
Like they had a big breakthrough and
Exactly.
proved themselves. Yeah.
However, Thomas, time flies. We're at an hour.
Wow.
So
Time does
can you
fly.
mute that real quick? So thank you for joining us today, Chad, Alan. It's not too late to donate if you want to enter to win, because the raffle is Friday and we have 2 more after this Friday, so there's plenty of time. Som.games/play live. If you donate after the stream's over, you'll still be entered in the raffle.
Yep.
We just want to raise money for St. Jude. We don't care when you donate or how much you donate. We just want you to donate something, at least $1. So yeah, tomorrow Burbank is back, and I'm trying to remember what they're playing. Ratchet and Clank with Brian Algeier.
Ooh.
Good memory.
Brian Algeier, longtime creative director on the series, and just worked on the series for a long time. Sorry, I lost my voice for a second. I believe they're playing the PS4 remake, reimagining, excuse me. And then we're back on Thursday and Friday and we're going to play through Into the Nexus with Billy and a couple other people who worked on that game.
That sounds fun.
Cool.
I wonder if we can get Billy to speedrun it, because he was on QA during that game and probably knows all the secrets.
Yeah.
Dare him to do it. I'll bet he does it.
I bet we can get that to happen.
So,
Speed run.
anyway, thank you for joining us. Again, Insom.game/playlive.
No, he says no. He just said no.
Says he will not.
Well, what if someone donates $50 to have Billy speedrun the game?
There you go.
Anyway, again, thank you, and we'll see you. Burbank will see you tomorrow. We'll be back on Thursday. Thanks again.
Bye.